Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HA Network. Frank Granito and Kevin Coleman on Wednesday, February 22nd, bringing you this, our latest episode. And what a night we had from Fairfield Ludlow last night, Kevin. We saw a 14-point lead almost squandered away in game number one, and then a triple OT thriller in the second game of the night. All four teams putting on quite a display out there with championship hopes on the line.
I don't think we could have asked for a better two games last night over at Fairfield Ludlow. What a performance they put on. Great host as well at Ludlow, and great crowd, great atmosphere. I think that really brought the players into another element there. I think they brought an extra part of their game up. It just added to the intensity on the hardwood. All four teams really brought it last night. You talk about Stanford and Ridgefield. Ridgefield turned the ball over a little too early on, which led to Stanford getting some fast break points. Stanford was just too much for Ridgefield to handle in the first game. And then, Frank, you just mentioned that triple overtime thriller. Thought Ward played their heart out. And, Trumbull, they played well down the stretch. Low scoring, thought both defenses really strong, getting some big turnovers. But Fairfield Ward, I thought, really put it out on the floor. It's unfortunate that someone had to go home a loser. That's the issue with these overtime games. Someone has to go home a loser, but Trumbull, again, Stanford and Trumbull both deserving to go to the championship game.
And that's a really good point there, as you mentioned, about the defense. And I think too much of a knock is on the low scoring today and how Trumbull and Ward struggled so much offensively. I didn't think the defense got enough credit last night. They did such a good job. The zones were so impressive. It was a college-level zone with the way they stepped up and played. And there were few opportunities for both teams to penetrate. The shots really weren't there. Defenders expanding at the right times. But when it comes down to it today, and we've been talking about it all morning, Fairfield Ward is just kicking themselves right now over missed layups and missed free throws at critical times down the stretch.
Well, look at the last play of the game, Frank. You look at Shania Osborne had a great look down low. I thought Lynch made an excellent defensive play. If you're Fairfield Ward, you can argue that she was fouled. Referees have the hardest job, on the planet. They have to make a call, yes or no, on that. And it looked like, to their opinion, that she got all ball. And, that's a good defensive play. She held her hands up high, kept her feet balanced. Shania Osborne had a great opportunity, and Ward almost had a chance, to nod things up and go to another overtime. But, again, just comes to show, again, defense stepping up big when it matters most.
Whether or not she was fouled, I think that it was agreed by everyone in the gymnasium last night. Officiating might have been a little bit of an issue. Subpar seems to be the feeling from everyone who viewed last night. What we said on the air was, and I was a fan in that they established early on they were going to let the girls play down low, and it was an absolute war in the paint. You have to give so much credit to Claudia Tucci, Brady Ann Lynch, Taylor Brown, Shania Osborne, Kresnici, Parisi. Those were the six players who spent the most time down in the paint underneath the basket fighting for rebounds, and it was, in every sense of the word, an absolute fight.
And I think, when you look at a semifinal, night like this at Ludlow, you want to let the girls play. You want to let the game breathe a little bit. And, for the referees, it's hard. And we're going to see that again on Thursday in the championship game. These referees are going to let these girls play it out. And they know how hard they've worked all season long. What I loved the most from last night was whenever there was a loose ball, you always saw someone diving for the ball. And as a basketball fan, you have to love that. Coaches love that. They feed off of when, their players dive for the ball. They're putting their body on the floor for their teammates. It shows, how much they care about the game, how much they want to win and win for their teammates. And the hustle was there last night. I thought all four teams really brought it last night. Unfortunately, Ridgefield and Ward have to go home as losers, but they really brought it last night. And Frank, again, continued to be so impressed with the Lady Hoops this year. All these teams are so impressive. These student athletes continue to bring it.
In the first game, I thought you saw the opposite there, where fouls were being called very, very tightly, and that was a huge issue for Ridgefield. They were in foul trouble early on. They missed a lot of shots at the start of the game in those first two quarters. It's why they trailed 32-19. But they were never to get into a true flow or real rhythm with their starting lineup because you had Elizabeth Middlebrook pick up two fouls within the first 5 minutes. Then Julia Middlebrook gets into a little bit of foul trouble. Megan O'Hara was also teetering that line between, do I need to put her on the bench? And Coach Tom DiMarzio had to throw a lot of lineups out there against a Stanford team right now that you need to be able to maintain that initial blow from them, and just the Ridgefield bench wasn't ready for that yet.
They weren't, and that's where Stanford's going to kill you. They not only can they shoot, but they'll drive it to the paint, they'll draw fouls, and that's what killed Ridgefield last night. You talk about both Middlebrook girls, twins, Julia and Elizabeth fouled out, and when you don't have Julia and Elizabeth on the court, especially Julia, who runs the offense, Elizabeth down low as the forward and the center, not having them on the court hurts, and that puts a lot of pressure on Caroline Colonel, Megan O'Hara, Grace Goodwin, who I thought the three of them, again, played spectacular, just not enough. And this comes to show that Stanford will come and get you, when they bring it down low, whether it's Alexis Kellner or Andrea O'Connor. We looked at Lancedo. She'll drive to the paint and draw a foul, which then obviously leads to, your starters going to the bench. And Ridgefield, unfortunately, just didn't have the depth last night. This is going to be a good Ridgefield team, though, next year.
Let's talk about Brooke Kelly for Stanford. What a night she had, the junior, leading all scorers with 20 points, 8 in the first quarter, and I thought she was dominant from start to finish, hitting her shots, played well defensively. The offensive and defensive rebounding by O'Connor and Garand, and obviously having Kellner back in the lineup helps out a lot, but Stanford rolling right now. They go on for a 59-52 7-point victory. Let's take a look at the highlights from last night's first semifinal as Stanford advances on to the championship game.
It's O'Hara who can grab the board. Colonel pulling up in the mid-range. Got it.
Beautiful shot by Caroline Colonel and a good timeout. Unlucky layup, though. A good one.
Kicked outside for Brooke Kelly. Here's Kellner in the corner. Puts up a three. Got it.
That's a big three-pointer for her. They're getting to the hoop. They just can't finish.
Oh, what a look from the freshman. And O'Connor finishes inside.
Again, the freshman showing off, showcasing her skills early on. Nice dish down low to Kellner. Rebound by Caroline Colonel here.
Good one with a lane to the rack. Gets it to fall.
Wow, that almost didn't go in there, Frank. How about this comeback from the Tigers? And look at the freshman here flying down the court.
O'Connor up off the glass. Big answer.
How good is Megan Lancedo?
And with time expiring, Stanford will have a chance to defend their FCIAC title. The final score in this one, the Black Knights 59 and the Ridgefield Tigers 52.
So again, you see Stanford dominant there. The first half really proved to be too much. Give a lot of credit to the Tigers, trailing 14, entering into the fourth quarter. Grace Goodwin and Megan O'Hara stepping up big, combining for 19 points in that quarter. Have to feel for the Middlebrook sisters, both of them fouling out. Julia played maybe 2 minutes altogether in the second half because she picked up her fourth foul. I think at the 6-minute mark it was in the third quarter, Kevin.
Yeah, we only saw her for a little bit in the second half, unfortunately, and I mentioned how not having them on the floor really hurts the Tigers, especially this year. I thought you mentioned Grace Goodwin. She stepped up huge. I thought she did a great job of driving baseline a couple times, putting up some big layups, putting up the body. Megan O'Hara again driving inside the paint, couple jump shots. Caroline Colonel still, while losing, getting some clutch steals to draw Ridgefield within 4. Frank, it was close. You felt the gym get the energy back in. The Ridgefield fans were back in it. Just wasn't enough. And Stanford again coming up big at the charity line, hitting clutch free throws. That really sealed the win for Stanford. Again, Lancedo, I thought, was excellent from the line, especially late. You talk about a freshman in a semifinal game with a lot of pressure on her, hitting 2 clutch free throws. You don't see that very often, and I've really been a big fan of her. The kind of confidence she brings, the type of swagger she brings on the court. And you see it with her teammates as well. She brings that energy level to her teammates. You see it with Brooke Kelly, Kellner, O'Connor, Garand. They're all now carry this sort of confidence, swagger type of deal, and I think that's why we're seeing them play really well right now.
Stanford Black Knights await the Trumbull Eagles. They won 36-34 in triple overtime. Here are the highlights from game number 2 on the AJN Network.
As Parisi inside through contact, gets the bucket at the buzzer.
And that's why I said that's a mature play, Frank. They finally work it down low to Parisi, and she finishes with the buzzer beater.
Parisi inside, no good. She's got her own rebound. Out for Ofiero, open for three. Count it!
What a big three-pointer. Trumbull's got to move it.
Ray at the buzzer! Yeah!
Oh, what a buzzer beater. Victoria Ray.
Oh!
Jim ignites.
How about that? But catches the pass inside. Kicked out to McGuire. She wants a three, as she answers right back.
Both teams trading 3 for 3s right now.
Now down to 5. What's Polk gonna do? Give and go. Trying to work around trouble. Got to get something up. We're going to overtime.
Wow, great defense by Trumbull there.
McGuire's got an open look at 3. No good. Brown now on the second attempt. It counts!
Oh! Wow! There it is, Frank. I told you. Look for her to hit that 3. She did. What a big three-pointer. This. 10 seconds.
Parisi to the rack, off the glass. It was in and out. Osborne the rebound. They battle for it. A jump ball, and it's going to Trumbull with 4.9 seconds. Hits the second, does McGuire.
Big free throw. Fairfield Ward, plenty of time here.
Any foul against the Eagles, and it's 2 shots for the Mustangs. Trumbull has the rebound. They've got a foul. They don't get it. They don't get it. The Eagles are going to the FCX championship. They went down low to Osborne. The shot got blocked.
A tough loss for Fairfield Ward. Had opportunities. Trumbull didn't lead in overtime until the third overtime period. Ward had the ball for the final minute and 10 seconds, chose not to run a play, but ultimately it's going to be missed layups, missed free throws that spelled the doom for this season, or this FCX season for Fairfield Ward. Could potentially have a rematch against Trumbull in the second round of states. The seeding just came out today.
I think that's a game where Ward is licking their chops right now. They want revenge on that. Right now, if you think about it, it's tied 1-1. Fairfield Ward had the big win during the regular season. Trumbull with the big triple overtime victory last night. And how many times, even in the first semifinal game, that we see layups, roll around the rim and just decide to pop out? How many times have we seen that last night? It's unfortunate that last night a couple missed layups. If those go in, maybe we don't go to 3 overtimes. And how about Taylor Brown's clutch tying buzzer beater three-pointer to send the game to a second overtime? I mean, ice in her veins, Frank.
It was huge. We can only hope to have as exciting a championship game tomorrow night. Kev, we're going to step aside when we get back. Dave Stewart of New Canaan Advertisers is going to join us. We'll preview tonight's semifinals games for girls hockey right here on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Get a fresh start to the new year by shaking up your meal routine. Walter Stewart's Market is your local source for a delicious selection of fresh and convenient salad shakers, like Southwest salad with chicken, Cobb with organic chicken, Power Vegan with fruit and quinoa, Greek salad with tabbouleh, and grilled shrimp with hominy. Grab one from our salad case or order from our deli today. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
While there's still a bite out on the water, most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Whether you're looking for the freshest seafood, the perfect steak, or want to share delicious appetizers, look no further than the Stone's Throw in Seymour. Chef Peter Hom has more than 30 years of experience creating original recipes in his American eclectic style. Our dishes are made from scratch with fresh, local ingredients that pair perfectly with a seasonal craft beer, a signature cocktail, or your favorite wine. When you visit our Riverside location, you'll feel like you're on vacation when you're only a stone's throw from home. Visit us on Roosevelt Drive in Seymour or at stonesThrowCT.com. If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached more than 2 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back on the HAN Network, Frank Granito and Kevin Coleman. We welcome now to Nutmeg Sports Dave Stewart, the sports editor for the New Canaan Advertiser. And Dave, the February championships continue on in the FCAC. We've got the girls hockey semifinals tonight. You are our girls hockey expert. What can we expect with Darien and Fairfield, New Canaan and Greenwich tonight?
Well, the first game up is Darien and Darien Fairfield, and to be honest with that, Darien is playing as well as anybody in the state right now, and they're a scary team going into the playoffs. I know Fairfield's had a great season. They've really come out of nowhere. They have a lot of good young talent on there. On that team, they have some superstars. Courtney Sheets is one of the best players in the league. I just don't know if they're going to be able to handle a hot Darien team right out of the gate like this in the playoffs. It's really Fairfield's first playoff game ever. And they faced Darien twice. They did play them well in the first game and lost 2-1. And they have done some damage. They beat New Canaan. They tied Greenwich just last week. They were beaten by Darien in their second game 7-0. I see Darien taking this. Right now I can't really see a team beating Darien. They're just clicking on all cylinders now. They struggled early in the year, but I see that one as being tough for Fairfield to overcome. The second game, New Canaan and Greenwich, should be a great one. We had them on HAN earlier this year in a 2-2 tie where New Canaan rallied from a 2-0 deficit to tie it in the third period, and they played a second time down at Dorothy Hamill, and it was also a 2-2 tie. So they haven't been able to figure it out yet who's the better team. So tonight they're going to have to for one of them to move on. So that should be a great game. New Canaan's playing as well as they played at any time this year. Finished great last week, beat a hot Amity team, and beat Simsbury 4-1. They had lost to Simsbury in opening day 5-1. So that was a nice little kind of measuring stick for them. So that's going to be a great game, that second game.
And there's no team more frustrated with those New Canaan Greenwich ties than Fairfield, who missed out on being the 3 seed by only 1 point. It looked for a while like New Canaan might have been in that fourth spot, Dave, and we would have a Darien-New Canaan matchup. But I agree. Darien, since losing that opening game in conference play to Greenwich, has just been a completely different team. Emily Giannunzio looks like her championship self again from the past 2 years. And it's a whole new cast of characters on this roster, but they've meshed together and they're getting it done defensively and offensively. If there was a team right now you think could stand up to the wave, is it New Canaan, Greenwich, or Fairfield in your opinion?
That's a tough call because Greenwich, you got to hand it to them because they did beat them early in the year, so they do know what that feels like. Not a lot of teams can say that in the FCAC. They know what but feels like to beat Darien over the last few years. Although I will say that in New Canaan's last game, which they saw them on February 13th, so that's obviously not that long ago, it was a 2-0 game. Darien scored 2 goals in the first 5 minutes, and then the rest of that game was really a lot of back and forth. New Canaan's defense played great. They really pressured the net. What I've seen over the past few years from New Canaan is that they've been a little bit almost like they're afraid of Darien a little bit. Like they see the uniforms, on the other side of the ice, and they don't play their game. And I saw that in the first game they played to them when they lost 6-0. I didn't see that in the second game. They really went at them. But Giannunzio just stood on her head in that game, and they just weren't breaking through against her. So she may be the difference maker for Darien going into the playoffs. I'm not really answering the question there, but I would think either Greenwich or New Canaan probably have the best shot. I just don't know that Fairfield has enough to really overcome them. I think they got to let it all hang out tonight. They just got to really go after them, try some different things, and just try to attack. And Fairfield has some speed, and I think if they go and attack and maybe they're able to slip a couple past Giannunzio, they could have a shot at it. But that's a tall order.
Dave, talking about this Greenwich-New Canaan matchup, let's talk about Jessica Ware, the freshman goalie for Greenwich. What does New Canaan have to do to get by her tonight?
Well, I think New Canaan's been at its best when they don't have like the prolific star scorer anymore, like they might have had a few years ago with Olivia Hopp and last year with Catherine Granito. This year it's Gianna Bruno has been their top scorer, but it's more spread out, so they really just need to attack the net and do a lot of following, trying to get rebounds, throwing it on net. And Jessica Ware is a great goalie, and she and Cara Fahey have done in both of the games, have gone back and forth, trading great stops. And I think they just have to attack the net, follow, look for the rebounds, and try to get Ware out of position or off stride. And I think that's when New Canaan's been at their best, and they've been doing that lately. They did it against Simsbury, they did it against Amity, which were 2 big wins for them because they were not guaranteed a state tournament spot until they won these last 3 games.
And while obviously the thought process is to win in the now, Dave, both New Canaan and Greenwich are truly built for the future. Few seniors on both rosters, so they've got great seasons ahead of them now. But what is on these rosters, there's a little bit more playoff experience with New Canaan. You have Bruno and Dean Eccleston playing huge minutes last year as well, of course. How much of a factor will that be in the matchup against Greenwich this afternoon?
That could be. That's always a factor. I mean, it's a different animal when you get into the playoffs, and I feel like, especially early in the game, you got to look to see if that affects Greenwich at all. I think once you get through that first period or the first, 8 to 10 minutes of the game, and you start getting into the flow of things, you hope that for the players it becomes just another game, and that the spotlight of the situation doesn't get to them. But I think both of these teams will be able to handle it well, experience or not. But yeah, New Canaan definitely has the edge there.
And Dave, let's talk about the boys hockey standings quickly while we've got you here. 5 of the 6 spots have been filled in the tournament. A huge wrench thrown into the picture yesterday with Greenwich falling 5-1 against Stanford West Hill. The last day of the regular season is today. What are the scenarios that we could see playing out here as Darien and Stanford West Hill looking to clinch that last playoff spot?
Well, yeah, they're both looking at other games to and hanging by a thread here. The 2 games that matter are St. Joe's versus Trumbull and Wilton versus Fairfield. Fairfield and St. Joe's are the 2 teams that are in the playoffs, and Fairfield and St. Joe's will be heavily favored for those 2 games. But basically, there's 4 possible outcomes here. Both St. Joe's and Fairfield win, both lose, and then they split in either direction, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Out of those 4 scenarios, 3 of them favor Stanford West Hill. However, the most likely scenario, which is St. Joe's and Fairfield both winning, that one favors Darien, and if that happens, Darien's game. If any one of the other, if St. Joe's loses, or if St. Joe's wins and Fairfield loses, then you're looking at Stanford West Hill getting in. What could come into play is, in the Fairfield case, if Fairfield lost and St. Joe's was able to sneak ahead of them, there's a thing called quality wins, which the FCAC uses to break ties, which basically can't be broken any other way. I mean, if you had a three-way tie with Greenwich, Darien, and Stanford, they all have the same record, same points, and if you look at how they did against each other, they're all 1-1 against the other two teams in that three-way tie. So what you have to do for quality wins is you work from the top of the standings, first place, down until you can find a difference with how those teams perform. So you look at how they did against Ridgefield; they all lost. So that's a watch.
Lost to New Canaan.
Yep.
It's a crazy scenario, and just as crazy, I know, is the basketball.
Yeah, Dave, I want to get your thoughts on right now. Going through 1 through 8 seeds. I know the seeding isn't fully done yet. I just want to get your thoughts on who do you like? What's your one team? Is it Trinity Catholic?
I got to be honest. I'm going with the preseason chalk. I like Danbury. I just feel like they've been, I feel like, they've struggled this year. They've had some injuries. They've been inconsistent and stuff, but they still have as much talent as anybody out there. And I feel like they can, they've got we were talking about playoff experience. They've got the playoff experience, and I think, in a season where there's no team that you can say is definitely the favorite over everybody else, even Trumbull has its flaws, although they've been more consistent than everybody else. I feel like Danbury's got a shot. Although, Trinity, as you point out, Trinity has been very hot of late, and even jumped from 8 to 4 in the standings, which shows you how tight everything is.
Well, it'll certainly be a lot of fun starting on Saturday when we get the quarterfinals underway. Last day of the regular season for basketball is this afternoon. We're going to talk about that more after the break. But Dave, want to thank you for coming on with us today. We'll see you tonight at the Darien Ice House.
I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Thanks again.
Thanks.
Dave Stewart, sports editor for the New Canaan Advertiser. But I think he's right that Darien, the favorite right now, heading into the girls' semifinals for hockey, and then everything else pretty wide open right now across the board here.
And I think that Greenwich-New Canaan matchup is actually going to be really fun to watch. You look at Jessica Ware, again, continuing to raise some eyebrows, the freshman, playing lights out right now, and that matchup itself, you talk about New Canaan, they have, their offense, they like to move on the forecheck, they like to move up and crash the net. That's a really fun matchup, and I'm looking forward to seeing both. I think Fairfield could give Darien a run for their money, but again, Darien, Frank, just so good.
Firing on all cylinders right now. Kev, let's step aside one more time. When we get back, we'll look at this afternoon's schedule, let you know how the boys' hockey and basketball seasons are going to round up and shape out right here on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands at the President's Day event and Ram Truck Month, now through February 28th.
Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign your child up now for InSports Future Stars Basketball Academy. teaching skills on the basketball court for boys and girls ages 5 through 9. Visit insportscenters.com for more information on this 7-week program. And for adults, spots are also still available for our men's 30 and over and 40 and over leagues. Like and follow us on Facebook.
We told Dad he could have his office back if he sold 150 cars last month.
Deal's a deal.
Well, Dad, you did it. You get your office back.
Forget it. I'm having too much fun down here. My new goal, 160 cars. Wow. Folks, if you ever wanted a great price on a new Nissan, now is the time.
Right now, lease a 2017 Altima 2.5S for only $99 a month.
Isn't it time you got Millerized?
I'm John Kovac. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune into Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Back on the HAN network, Frank Granito, Kevin Coleman. Thanks again to Dave Stewart. Quickly, while we got some time left, let's talk about the boys' basketball schedule today. What games could affect standings? A big one, obviously, tonight, Trumbull at Danbury. Danbury really wanted to stay in that 5 spot, potentially jump into that 4 spot ahead of Trinity Catholic. They're playing at home against Stanford, city rivalry there. This game intrigues me, McMahon and Central. McMahon has clinched a spot in the playoffs. They're currently 8th. I like Central in this one. I think the Hilltoppers end the season with a win.
Listen, the Central Hilltoppers, they've given some good teams a run for their money. They were actually beating Trumbull, if you remember correctly. You know, they put up some big points against really strong teams this year, teams who were in the top 3, top 4. So Central love to end the year not spoiling a playoff spot, but, you know, beating a team who has already clinched in the playoffs to go out on a high note.
Our director, Mike Suppy, no faith in the Hilltoppers. I'm calling it now, Suppy. Take Central tonight over McMahon. Wilton and Ludlow, this is an interesting matchup. Wilton struggling of late. They're all the way down to number 7. Ludlow has been hot, trying to ride momentum, head into the state tournament at 500.
Yeah, Ludlow really playing well. They beat Ward last week in a big rivalry game at home. Big win for them. If they can, you know, end the year on another high note, being Wilton, who again is bleeding chips right now. Just the injury bug has really hurt the Wilton Warriors down the stretch. If they can get healthy, you know, before the playoffs, they love that. I don't think they can. Ludlow, strong team. They could put up a good fight against the Warriors tonight.
Ridgefield and Ward vying for a position there. The Mustangs wanting to stay in that 3rd spot. Ridgefield could fall down as low as 8 with a couple of different losses. And then Darien looking to knock off Norwalk as they want to stay in the 2 seed heading into the tournament. Tough finish to the year for Coach Tommy Keys and the Bears. There's so many different scenarios as to the way this season could finish out, and we could see the standings completely change again from what we talked about yesterday. But I think regardless of who is matched up where, it is a wide open tournament, and seeds 1 through 8 are all capable of making a run to the championship.
And that's why it's so much fun, Frank. I mean, you look at it, no matter what, you're right. It's so wide open. The seedings are going to change. After tonight, there's going to be something. Someone's going to lose tonight. The seedings aren't going to be the same after this show. And you look at from 1 to 8, I easily can see some Cinderella stories coming in Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a blast, Frank. Those 4 games. It's a fun afternoon. I think fans who get to watch on the network and whoever gets to come to the games get treated to some 4 fantastic games.
It'll definitely be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of fun planned tomorrow. Chris Kutza is going to join us. We got a little roundtable action going on. We're going to preview all 4 of the Saturday quarterfinal games. That's going to do it for this episode of Nutmeg Sports. Kev, final thoughts today.
All right, listen, tonight's going to be great. You know, at Darien Ice House, 2 great semifinal games for the girls' side. We got the girls' basketball final tomorrow, which is going to be a lot of fun. Kutza going to join us for Nutmeg Sports. Again, can't wait for Saturday.
Darien Fairfield at 6 o'clock. Retaining running 7:45 from the Darien Ice House. We'll be on the air at 5:50 on the HAN Network, the home of FCS Sports. You've been watching Nutmeg Sports. Kevin Coleman, Frank Granito. See you back here tomorrow, 3 o'clock.